Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me in this webinar and this journey together to learn how to manifest every time using the law of attraction. My name is Ranjina Marie, and my clients know me as the Queen of Rapid Transformation. They were the ones that actually dubbed that for me. I did not give that name to myself. So you're in the right place if you finally desire to get your life under control, if you finally desire to learn how to use the law of attraction for the big stuff as well as the little stuff and get it to work for you every time, then this is exactly where you need to be. So I am going to welcome everybody who is on with me. Thank you so much for blessing me with your valuable time. I am very appreciative of you being here, taking time out of your day, especially on a Thursday morning, to join us. So as more people are showing up, I'm just going to go ahead and get ready to go because we're already about 5 minutes after the hour. So whether you're listening to this live or you're listening to the recording, the information is going to drastically move you into another direction in your life and give you a better understanding of how you came to be and how your world has come to be as well. So I'm going to go into screen share mode so that I can jump on the PowerPoint presentation and go through that with you. So here we go. And I will be back. Okay, so the title of this webinar is a beautiful reading, and the reason that I decided to title it that is because when you are learning how to use the law of attraction and it is working for you in every area rather than against you, it really is a beautiful reinvention of not only yourself, but your entire life. So if you're ready for that, then you are in the right place. If you're ready to be a powerful and confident and just a queen of your world, creating yourself and your life by design, you are also in the right place. The truth is, you are a miracle. And when you allow your soul to dance across the sky and watch the world be forever changed, it's like your mission is being fulfilled. There's a sense of love and peace and advancement in your life that you didn't have before. So learning how to use the laws of the universe to create your desires, it really is an amazing gift to be able to do this. We're using the law of attraction all the time. It's always working. We're always manifesting. It's that the balance of our manifestation, we view it as either being positive or negative. And I'm going to explain to you why you have about 80% discord and 20% flow, or vice versa, later on in the webinar. So stay tuned for that. I would suggest getting a pen and paper because if you've heard me before, you know I deliver a ton of valuable information. And you're going to want to write it down. You're probably going to want to re-listen to this webinar also because I am going to be giving a lot of information. I'm going to try to keep it under an hour and a half. However, there's so much information for me to give you in one space that it is kind of a little difficult for me to keep it at that length. So who am I? I am the author of The Power of a Woman and the founder of The Power of a Woman Transformational Coaching. I'm a transformational relationship and success coach, a speaker, an energy healer, and I'm known for healing from the core. I specialize in women and their relationships with themselves, healing self-worth issues, and instilling deep core confidence and inner security. I have had the blessing of being able to work personally and intimately with hundreds of women, allowing me to study the inner workings of their minds. I've been able to study human behavior and the laws of the universe so up close and personal that it's become clear to me and others that I teach exactly how and why we create our lives the way we do. Most of us are on autopilot, not understanding that we are the directors of our fate. Some of us understand this and are still struggling with it to make it all work for them. And some understand thoroughly and have learned to master it. So the goal is to learn to master it so that you can create your life with ease and grace, and it's not so forceful, and you're not getting sucked into these pockets of discord in your realities. So whatever boat you're in, what you're going to learn today is going to empower you with the keys to your own personal lasting success and self-mastery. I really am a really big believer in teaching you how to do these things for yourself so that you do not need the guidance or to look to somebody else for your answers. You have them within yourself, and you know that you can trust it, and you merely look to the universe for signs to go along with what it is that you're saying or what it is that you know. I'm an intuitive and an empath and have clairsentient and clairvoyant abilities. I've had these abilities since I was younger, and they are coming back stronger and stronger. I am always 100% accurate with my intuition because I can see within the auric fields of people, and I can tell what their density is and help guide them to it so that they can release it and then transform it and move it out of their being. So on the science part of things, I'm a licensed master neurolinguistic programming practitioner, licensed by Richard Bandler and the Society of NLP, which is the highest degree of licensing that you can get. It's the most renowned and recognized society that there is. I'm a certified life coach, a certified master weight loss coach, a certified motivational coach, a certified social and emotional intelligence coach, a Reiki practitioner, past life regression therapist, energy healer, and a money coach. So the reason that I have all these certifications is because of the last 10 years, it started out as me wanting to get myself out of negativity. So I was learning everything that I could possibly learn so that I could better my life. I was in a dysfunctional relationship. I had been a teen mom. We were living in poverty. It was a very emotionally and mentally abusive situation. And I was so desperate to get out of my discord that I needed to learn everything that I could possibly learn and climb out of that. So that is my story. So I went on to become the owner. I founded and own a transformational beauty and empowerment salon. So I have been able to take my coaching practice to the next level because I am able to spend between 4 and 8 hours with each one of the women that I work with. So I have had at least 6 years, 7 years of really in-depth coaching with them. So I'm definitely have a lot of information that I love to share with other people. I also, even within my own life, doing this stuff for my own life and seeing that it really rapidly transformed me to go from where I was to where I am now. So on the other side of that story, now I'm, bringing in high six figures a year. I only work a few days a week, and I get to do exactly what it is that I love. Now I'm still always moving through different glass ceilings and using the techniques that I teach to continue to move up, because my vision for my life is so grand that I'm going to have to continue to keep moving up the ladder. So I ask that you hold your questions until the end, and I promise I will let you know how you can turn this information into a lasting transformation. I'm going to teach you a 4-step process to help you get out of lack and into abundance by tonight. It is a process that I teach my clients. They manifest hundreds and hundreds of dollars within a day. I mean, I think the longest it ever took somebody to manifest money was 3 days. And it's large amounts of money, between $600 and $1,500. So each time, it's just, and the process is really easy. I'm going to teach you that when we get a little further. So what I want to do now is, now that we're all here and together and in this space, I want to have an agreement of just sharing love with each other and really getting into who we are and what we are here to do as a collective, as women. The planet at this point in time needs that nurturing and loving energy that we as women bring to the table. And when we can get online with each other and on the same page as each other and truly love each other for just being women, for just coming to earth and living out these life experiences and really appreciating each other for that, it strengthens our bond together as women. And we are not going to be able to do this alone. We definitely need all of each other to be on board with each other. So let's just take a deep breath and feel into your heart. And we're going to start with a prayer. Just let go of all the tension, all the multitasking, whatever it is that you're doing in your reality. Let it all go and just focus on this moment that you are here right now, ready to open and absorb this information so that you can drastically improve your life and transform it to that which you want it to be. So we pray to the God of our heart. Dear God, thank you so much for blessing us with this interaction that we have today and for all of the positive benefits that it is going to bring with it. We thank you for allowing us this space and time where we can come together and share collectively our insights and our transformation and the love that we have for each other and for everyone else in our lives. And we ask that our desires be manifested quicker than we could imagine. And we have faith and trust in the abilities of ourselves and of the universe as a whole to work with us together. And we are in the mode of love, and we also promise to love ourselves throughout the day, in the morning when we wake up, before we go to sleep, just tuning in to that self-love and feeling it in our hearts, releasing our judgments against each other. And we ask for the strength and the courage to be able to do this daily and to fill our lives with love, heart-centered love, and just being appreciative of all the people that are in our lives now, no matter what role they're playing in our stories. Just sending love to ourselves and to all others with us. And we thank you so much for blessing us with the gift of transformation and healing and light and love. And we say these things in God's name, amen. So, if you take a moment to really feel into your heart and feel that love, think of something that you love. You know, it could be your child, or it could be an experience that you've had, or it can be a piece of food, favorite fruit, or whatever it is that you feel love for, and you can feel it in your heart, whether it's your puppy or your career or your clients or your friends, just feeling into that energy. So this love energy is the energy that creates life. On a physical level in your brain, the more that you feel and engage this love energy, the more oxytocin has to be produced in your brain. Oxytocin cannot be taken and induced by any herbs or any other remedies or even any medication that could be prescribed. It's something that has to be boosted through your own doing. And doing this love exercise, thinking of things you love, even going a step further and writing them down and feeling into it, increases your biological happiness set point by 25% within 14 days. That means that you will be 25% happier within 14 days. And if you continue to do this process for 6 months, you'll have an entirely new biological happiness set point. I'm going to explain a little bit later what the biological happiness set point is, but for now, let's talk about the law of attraction and the universal laws. So everything is energy. We know that. We've heard it 100 times. Everything in your reality is energy. Everything in your body is energy. The energy that's in our environment, the protons and the photons, they have a little burst of light, and that light is the field. It's the field of creation. It's what your feelings are communicating with. So if you ever walk into a room where there has just been a fight, you can feel in the room because the molecules in the room are actually following the command of the human that was there before. Or you walk into an area and it just feels really serene. There's waterfalls, there's just a lot of love there. You can feel that also. So your energy has a direct impact over the energy molecules in your reality. And there is no time and space. All of this has already been proven with science. When you have a thought, it is instantaneously picked up by the receiver, whoever the receiver you're sending that thought to is. So it's like if you think of somebody and you haven't thought about that person in a really long time, and then you run into them or they end up calling you. You're putting yourself on the same frequency of whatever it is that you're thinking about. So abundance has a frequency. When you feel abundant, what does that feel like? It feels open and expansive, and like you have everything that you could possibly need, and your cells are operating optimally and everything's great. And when you're in the frequency of lack, of scarcity, you are in the contraction mode, so you can't even receive anything. So the point is for you to understand that in this universe, in this energy frequency universe that we live in, everything has a vibration, and like attracts like. So it happens faster when you get into the feeling of it. This is why it's so important to get into the feeling of what it is that you want to create, because you make it happen faster than if you didn't. Now, I'm going to help you understand why we come up with blocks, because we know this conceptually. We can understand it, and we could say, okay, if I can get into the, act as if, or get into the feeling of what it would feel like to have the thing that I so desire, daily, and I know it'll happen faster. We can understand that now as a collective. We've been introduced to the law of attraction, and it's been constantly, perpetually put into our consciousness over time. And so we get it. We understand that. Now, the thing that gets you hung up is your internal magnets are not in alignment with the thing that you say that you want to create. And this is what trips people up a lot. Your thoughts are your feelings are 5,000 times more powerful than just your thoughts alone. Your body, your power center, your heart radiates out 8 feet in front of you, not to mention how far it reaches out through the ethers. So when you are feeling something in your being, in your body, and it's discord, that's your guidance system. You're bringing more discord into your reality, which is why you feel that way. When you're feeling open and optimistic, you're bringing more of that into your reality, because that's your guidance system. That's the way that you're feeling. Well, our feelings and our beliefs and our perceptions have been programmed and conditioned into our consciousness from the time that we're little until now. And so we have all this conflicting programming within our being that doesn't align with what it is that we desire to experience in life on a soul level, because our desires come from that higher self, from that soul level of wanting to experience. And then we have the lower self in this density that is in the contrast and not really open and receiving all of the guidance from the higher self. And even if we do, we've been conditioned by life that a lot of times we don't believe it, so we get fearful of it. So until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This is one of my favorite quotes, and this is a lot of the reason why I do what I do. I help women to become conscious of the inner workings of their being and the patterns in their minds and their brains, and be able to reprogram it, override it, and then align with what it is that they truly desire without having to experience the karmic attraction from the energy that they're putting out, the negative energy. So if you're feeling stuck and you're yearning to move forward, or if you're tired of not feeling good enough, not worthy enough, not valuable enough, or if you know that you're capable of achieving more than you currently are, this is exactly where you need to be. So this is where we're going to get into the relationship with you, because the relationship with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship that you have or ever will have in your life. Everything. You are the source. You are the creator. And so all of these players in our reality and all of these circumstances and things that are happening are following our instruction. Here's the thing, it's 95% of our instruction is done at the subconscious level, only 5% at the conscious. So this is why you're getting a lot of things into your reality that you don't remember creating, or a lot of discord that's occurring either in your relationships or your health or whatever other area, and you're not conscious of it because 95% of that creation was done at the subconscious level. So here we go in the relationship with you. This is one of the things that I'm so passionate about teaching women, because once you align with this and once you release all of the bullshit that tells you that you're not good enough, it's just you're so liberated and you're free. One of the most unfortunate stigmas in life is that our worthiness and our value and our beauty come from our external appearance and our external accomplishments. We're taught from a very young age that our worth is based on how good we are, or how many accolades we receive, or how well we do in sports. And because of this, the belief paradigm that all humans have to some degree is that we're not good enough, not worthy enough, and not valuable enough, and we're always in that competition phase. Well, that competition mode, if you can look around in the world, it is dying. Not only is it dying, but it's taking people out with it. So you've got to get out of the competition and into the creative, and I'm going to show you how. The second we experience an unfavorable situation, whether it's a breakup or a write-up, we instantly start questioning ourselves. What's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? And then from that, we search and inflame our perceived inadequacies. So what we learned about ourselves as children, we will then stack these experiences that we're having on. It's like not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy enough. I had a client the other day who had a trauma. She was sabotaging her current relationship, and she had a trauma from a previous relationship where she was cheated on. And the conclusion that she came to, the reason that he cheated on her is because he got bored. And the reality is it's because he didn't have integrity, and she knew he didn't have integrity, and he wasn't a good fit for her. But what we do is we internalize it as though it's our fault. So when in this relationship, when she started to perceive her new partner, who she loves dearly, become bored, she started to freak out, and so she tried to sabotage the relationship. And so this is what we do. In an effort to feel better, we reach to the external. So in that example, what she was doing is she was saying, well, he's just a party. He likes to party. I'm not sure that I really like that. And just for external, which in reality that it isn't the truth. It's not that he likes to party. It's part of his business. And she knew that going into it, and she used to do it with him. So this is what our mind does. Our brain will actually search for things that aren't real and make us think to be justified and why we're doing this subconscious sabotaging, when in reality, we're just attempting to protect ourselves from the pain of what we believe, our brains believe is going to happen to us, and which we end up creating it anyways. Looking to the external shows up in many areas of our lives, from relationship to business. It also shows up as, who do you think you are? You're not going to accomplish this. You can't. I can't. You don't have what it takes. What am I going to do about this? So we constantly do this to ourselves without even realizing that we're doing it to ourselves, and it just belittles us and keeps us from moving forward. We are our own worst critic. We know how to put ourselves down better than anybody else can put ourselves down. So what I'm going to cover today is how you got to where you are, and how to get from where you are to where you want to be, learning to love yourself from the inside out, so you can become a powerful magnet for all the good things in life, so that you can work with the law of attraction. You can be on autopilot, and your autopilot is amazing, and you're happy with the results that you're getting in your life. That's the point of this. So we all know the feelings of lack and not good enough. It shows up as that little voice inside of our head that sabotages us any way we can. So you have to be conscious of it. When you get into that experience of having that feeling of just squishing, when a girl you perceive to be prettier than you shows up, or smarter than you, or whatever, and it causes you to shrink, you have to really pay attention to that and investigate it, because beauty is not what's on the external. That only adds to it. The real beauty is what comes from the internal. And when you're in a state of love, feeling that heart-centered love like we did a little while ago, you really just radiate this absolute beauty, and everybody is attracted to the light. So when you shrink yourself, it's really a sabotaging mechanism to keep yourself small. And that, if you want to have a good life, if you want to be able to expand out of that, that has to be reprogrammed. So how many of you are criticizing yourselves without even being aware of it? How many of you tell yourself you feel fat or not pretty? Or how many of you have wanted to do something greater than you're now doing, or wanted to ask for a raise or promotion and were terrified to talk about it, or even to be seen about it? So this is the internal dysfunction. Or this one is my favorite. How many of you have period underwear? When you wear those underwear when you're on your period, it's like we are trained to believe that our periods are bad. And so our bodies react, because our bodies have to listen to our brains. Okay, so there are learned and conditioned programs that are going on that are working beneath the surface to keep you from achieving your fullest human potential. And if you ever want to do anything great in life and not only sustain it, but to continue to create more of it, you've got to learn to reprogram it, like I was just saying. So the programs that we've been taught are inherited. They're inherited by other people, and their dysfunctional opinions about themselves that are based on their own lack and insecurities, and then they pass them on to the children. We do not see ourselves the way that we truly are. We are our own worst critic. And how far do you think you'll get in life with this part of you running the show? I'm going to show you an exercise in a little bit later where you can see exactly which one is dominant. Is it your inner champion, or is it in your inner critic? So even if you manage to create the external success, as some do, you will still be internally miserable, always looking for the next thing to externally validate your existence. This is what we do as humans. We think that we need that next shiny object, but by the time we get that next shiny object, a few months later, if that, we're already back to like needing that external validation. So what I have up here on the screen is the Dove experiment. I'm not sure if any of you have watched this, but if you go on YouTube and you type in Dove experiment, you will get this. It is just so phenomenal. So on the left here is the way this woman views herself and how she looks. And on the right here is how other people who have met her view her. And you can see the differences, and you can see what we do to ourselves as women. You know, we've all been taught this self-defeating consciousness, and it limits our ability to create success in life. And if we do, it limits our ability to truly enjoy it because we're always judging ourselves. It's a void that can never be filled. So on another note, leading edge science shows that 80% of the programs that are running in our consciousness are sabotaging and life defeating. I mean, that's 80% on autopilot. So even like at this picture here, you can see on the left, this woman, the way that she thinks she looks, and then on the right, the way that the other people think she looks, and then how she really looks. I mean, the one on the right is closer to the truth of how she really looks than the other person just looks completely unrecognizable, but this is how she sees herself. This picture is kind of blurry, but you can still get the idea. I mean, it just continues to go on. So, oh yeah, okay. So the 80% of the programs are running in our consciousness are sabotaging and life defeating. And building on that, 80% of the 80 to 90% of the information that we're processing is done through information that's already stored in our brains. So our past conditioning is what we are using to come to current conclusions, because the external sensors is only 20%. 90% of the thoughts you thought yesterday, you're thinking again today, and 90% of those thoughts you will be thinking again tomorrow. So you can see why you continuously create the same reality. 80% of the information that you're using to come to conclusions about things that are happening now is because of things that happened to you in the past. And 90% of the thoughts you thought yesterday, you're thinking again today. This is what happens when we're on autopilot, and I'm going to explain to you how to get out of autopilot. We get lost in our own conditioning of negative and self-defeating patterns and programs. You can tell this by the volume of that critical voice in your head. We lose more of ourselves a little more each day when we continue to be on autopilot. Again, how many times have you belittled yourself today? What about in the past? So in my biological happiness set point program, I teach about the biological happiness set point and how to change it. We are biologically wired to experience a certain amount of happiness. Our brains are wired to store and release a certain amount of hormones that keep us happy. 50% of this is due to genetics. 40% is due to the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, and only 10% is the external circumstances of the things that are going on in our reality. So what the source of your unhappiness is not what's happening in your reality, it's what's happening within you. And because 50% is genetic, it's inherited from our parents, primarily our mother. From the age of 0 to 6 months, we believe that we are one with her. So all of her self-worth issues we inherited from the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to touch on the science of how this programming occurs just for a moment so you can understand how you were programmed. I don't really want to spend too much time on this part of it. So here's the biological happiness set point. You can tell that, you know, what causes happiness and what doesn't. And then most people think that when things change, they will be happy. But the truth is, when they're happy, the things will change. And it really does change super fast. I mean, I went from all of that dysfunction, you know, in less than a few years to living an amazing life with the most amazing man I've ever met. And the funny thing is, he was an eternal bachelor before he met me. So the universe definitely gave me a challenge to see if I had cleared out my limiting beliefs around relationships, because my experience with that was, you know, I was always cheated on. When I was 5 years old, my mother was cheated on. It devastated our family. So it was a blueprint. And so here again, the way a girl feels about her beauty starts with how you feel about yours. This is talking to mothers. We get our initial identity blueprints mainly from our mothers and the other people around us. And how our mother felt about herself is how we learn to feel about ourselves, because we go through a modeling. And so we use her as a point of reference. It's like monkey see, monkey do. The next is, it's talking about it's not about love entirely. So if your environment was stress in any way, from the age of 0 to 7, we believe that we are one with everything, and so therefore we believe that we are the cause the cause of everything, and so we carry that with us in our life. And from 0 to 7 is a subconscious imprint phase. So anything anybody said to you about who you are during this time is what you took on to believe to be true about you. And when we remember trauma, an impactful childhood event, we remember it emotionally as though we're experiencing it again, because that part of us it became an immature expression. I'm going to explain that in a little bit also. Also, trauma and shock, bad versus good. These are all seeds of destruction. So anything that occurred to you during that time, that occurred in your life at that time, whether it was just your parents disciplining you and telling you were bad or good or whatever it is, those all become fragments of your identity, and it just continues to build on itself. So you can think of, we see it in the world when we're out in public, even with mothers and their children. They don't realize the impact that they are having, and they're shaping and conditioning this little child. I mean, we are a culmination of every single experience that we have had. Every moment that we have had has created us as who we are now. It's not like, oh, she won't remember that, because it doesn't matter. Subconsciously, you remember everything. Also, your identity blueprints are formed from sexual abuse. A lot of women have this. If they haven't experienced this personally, somebody in their ancestral line has. And because of the way that the genetics are created, we inherit our ancestors' genes. It is the way to keep the species moving forward. So has actually been a lot of science done on this, where there will be cells of people who have extreme fear and cells of people who don't, and they have different receptor sites. So it's definitely a genetic programming. So if you had parents that were angry or fought, you would think that it was your fault. This creates more of your identity on the schoolyard. Your childhood friends, your sports, your grades, being accepted, like all of these things. Feeling alone, losing connection. So from the age of 7 to 9, we go through this period of social proof. And social proof is where we look around and we see the things that are going on in reality and continue to stack on what's already been processed in our brain. And then 9+ is the foundational identity, and your structure of who you are is in place. I'm going to talk about, there was a study, I want to talk about when we actually start to lose our truth of who we are. So at the age of 3 years old, our creativity rating is 100%. Now, those same group of children that were tested at the age of 9, between 7 and 9, their creativity rating dropped to 5%. So it goes from 100% to 5% in those most impressionable years. And what happens is we lose our connection to our intuition, because creativity is right brain, intuition, problem solving, being able to come up with solutions, and it's our connection to our higher selves and our source. So when we get disconnected from that, we become what I call earthbound. So we go into our left brain, fight or flight, and we're constantly in that stage of protection mode. If 80% of the thoughts and feelings and beliefs that are running in our consciousness are negative, then I know that the reason that a lot of people are in such chaos in their lives, or even just a little bit of chaos, is because of this patterning and conditioning that happens between these most impressionable years. Losing your connection to your intuition and your higher self isn't the way that the nature designed it. It's the way that humans designed it, and it's not working out so well. Another thing I want to touch on too is that your thoughts tell your body what to do. And then based on that, if you're thinking like negative thoughts and feelings, you will actually create more hormones, more stress hormones. Then your brain has to produce more, then your cells then have to produce more cells and divide with more receptor sites for those stress hormones. And then you become off balance in your body. You start reaching for foods that are low vibration, because low vibrational foods, even though a calorie is a calorie, it's a metric unit of energy. A calorie in a carrot is not the same vibrational force as a calorie in a cookie. It's more dense. So because we're already dense, we're reaching for dense foods. When you can flip this around and reprogram the inner workings of your mind and your consciousness, and you can start to really be conscious of reaching for higher vibrational foods, your whole body then becomes a magnet. Your whole energy field becomes a magnet, and you just kind of fly through life. Now, a lot of people have a secondary gain by holding on to all the drama in their life. They think that they want to be healed, but they get sucked into the constant healing journey of, I myself did this also, where you become addicted to healing. And it's because you want to be in that drama. If you haven't ever lived your life in any other way, it's going to be hard to condition yourself out of it when you're trying to do it on your own. This is why community is so important in moving through this stuff. And negative self-talk and negative emotions emit the toxins into your bloodstream, which then your body must create fat cells to store these toxins. It's really kind of a nasty cycle that we get ourselves into. And your body hears everything you say and responds accordingly, which is why the placebo effect works. So beliefs create your reality, and you make choices to go this way or that way based on your beliefs about yourself and your life, again, based off of your past. It's an automatic thing. We cannot help it. It's just the way that we are wired, because we're out of touch with our higher selves and with our intuition. So the beauty facade is another thing I like to talk about, because the external conditioning of what we're supposed to look like really can just go in and destroy a woman's self-worth. We're taught to get our validation from our looks. So insecurity means security. Insecurities. Security means safety. So when I say insecure, people throw that word around, but when I say insecure, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying it as a judgment, like, oh, you're insecure, and like that's a horrible, bad thing to be insecure. What I'm saying is that in your body, in your being, and insecurity means you're not secure. It means your safety is threatened. So when you get into a situation that causes you to be triggered, the reason that you react the way you do is because there's still that little part of you that's an immature expression that was wounded at one point, that is terrified that it is going to be hurt. So it causes you to go into these modes of sabotage and just freak out so that you can protect that part of you. It's an automatic thing in your brain. It's like if you stuck your finger in a light socket or got bit by a dog when you were a child, and then when you got older, your brain remembered that and you went to go stick your finger in a light socket again, or you were around a dog again, your alarm system would go off and your brain would try to get you to do anything that it could possibly do to get you away from that. This also happens when we're not breathing properly, because most people, they learn to breathe into their lungs rather than their diaphragm. And what ends up happening is your cells need 100% of oxygen to be able to function properly. But the way that we've trained ourselves to breathe, our cells only get 20 to 40%, which is why, the aging happens quicker. So if you can really make it a point to just breathe, this is why when you're in a stressed out state and you breathe, or even when you're having a baby and you breathe, it helps you just to remain open, and your cells can just get that flourish of oxygen that they need. Because what happens is when they don't get that, your brain will actually trigger negative thoughts in your being to get your heart rate to pump up so that you'll breathe more. And so sometimes, you're like, I don't know why I feel like this. Why do I feel down? Why do I feel that? Well, a lot of times it can be related to not breathing. It's really fascinating. Okay, so emotion is energy in motion. Do you ever find yourself mad or sad and you don't know why? It's because your programs are running and your thoughts, and you're taking yourself on an emotional roller coaster and you're not even aware of it. And like I said, beauty radiates from the inside. So confidence in who you are to your core is beauty. And everybody is drawn to that kind of beauty, regardless of what size you are, regardless of what you've experienced in life. When you can release the guilt and shame and get into that flow of who you truly are and just love yourself from the core and not care what other people think, everybody loves you. It's just the way that it goes. So this is the negative emotions are toxic slide. Your body hears everything. It causes aging and diminishes your life force. I don't know if I said this in this webinar, but 5 minutes of anger suppresses your immune system for 5 hours. And the opposite is true. 5 minutes of love opens your immune system for 5 to 6 hours. And also what anger does is it causes your cells to start stacking on top of each other, and they go into a protection mode, which then they're not functioning. So when they do that, they start multiplying and dividing as mutant genes, and they pull on the negative, like, disease of the genetics that you are programmed with, that you came into this world with. And when you're in a state of love, your cells will start dividing and multiplying as healthy, normal cells. Even those mutant gene cells will then start to divide as normal cells. If you're interested in knowing about that, you can look into Dr. Bruce Lipton. It's really fascinating stuff. So the point is that the hormone love, the oxytocin, when it's injected into a petri dish of cells that are in stress hormone, and dividing and multiplying as mutant genes, the oxytocin, when it's injected in there, the cells will then begin to absorb the oxytocin and start dividing and multiplying as normal genes and reading as normal genes. So love isn't just an emotion. It is the healing force of everything. We hear it all the time. It's just that this is the science behind why. So when your hormones are running on autopilot, your neural nets and your wiring in your brain are also on autopilot. And it's the reason that you continue to experience the same thing is because that wiring is so ingrained that it's on autopilot. It's like if water was flowing down a mountain, it's going to go through the path of least resistance, or the routes that are already created. And so when we have this wiring in our brain, it's like our neuronal highway, it just automatically goes, and it doesn't change until you start to reprogram those neuronal highways so that you can then get a different result. And then you're then creating new filters for your brain to filter your environment, to find more evidence of this, amazingness that you're creating. One of the things that I always say is to do self-love talk in the mirror, because if you do self-love talk and you look at yourself in your eyes, you do this after we get off this call. Go to the mirror, look at yourself in the eyes, and tell yourself you love yourself, and watch your pupils dilate. It is the most amazing thing. It's like, feels so good when you can really get to a place of truly loving yourself. If you can't say that to yourself in the mirror yet, it's okay. You will eventually be able to get to there the more that we work together and move through this stuff. So never fret. It's all for a reason. So your inner child, the inner wounded child, is an immature expression. This is what is causing the emotional triggers, like I said before, the protection mechanism. Worthiness is a big thing because we look to our externals for validation and we can't get it. It's an endless battle. And your relationship with yourself, again, is the most important relationship that you've ever had or will have. So the subconscious blueprints and the patterns that are running your life are done underneath the surface. We attract what we subconsciously believe we are worthy of and what we deserve. And it doesn't, you would think, asking a woman, oh, what do you think you deserve? They're going to say that they deserve good, but on a subconscious level, they don't really believe it. We don't really believe it because we're conditioned otherwise. So the way to get to the root of these problems is to use your feelings to trace the root problem. I'm going to do this as a demonstration for you later so that you can see how effective it really is to just let this stuff go immediately without having to do, 21 days of reprogramming or constant healing stuff. Then we go into traumatic conditioning. So my client, Michelle, she was abandoned by her mother when she was a child. She left her with a father that was sort of aggressive and not very happy. So she became to hold these beliefs within herself that she was not good enough, that she was left, that she was abandoned. She was afraid of her gifts. She thought that that's why her mother left, because she was a very intuitive child. Her father wasn't very nice, so she started to attract men that weren't nice to her either. And this is what happens when we all know that what we believe is reflected in our realities. We have to get out of this unconscious victim mentality. Whatever is going on in your life is because of a program that's operating under the surface that is commanding the law of attraction to bring you more of that, And the reason they say to think about your thoughts is because your thoughts are the indicator. You can think, what you're thinking when you are focused on a subject is the indicator of what the programs are. So you can use your thoughts to trail down to get to the root and reprogram it to a higher life expansion. So after her false identity was healed, after we did the divine effect together, she had a new core sound sense of who she was as a being on this planet. She ended up getting out of a relationship that was very dysfunctional. She got a new job and vibrated the boss that she had that was treating her bad out of her existence. She was able to relocate, and her new boss actually paid for her to move. So it was like all this amazing stuff started happening to her after she really did the inner work too, even on her own, to come to this conclusion of who she is as a beautiful being of light that's just here to uplift other people. It really is amazing. So then my other client, Tina, she wasn't loved as a child. Her mother didn't know how to love her. She kind of abandoned her and neglected her a lot. And what happened, a specific traumatic experience that happened for her, was when she was about 2.5 or 3 years old. She was attempting to go on the potty by herself, thought that she was being a big girl and wanted to show mommy that she could do it. Well, what ended up happening is she knocked this artifact, this special artifact, off the back of the toilet, and it broke. And her mom heard it break and came in and just ripped her off the toilet and just started beating her butt. And so she came to the conclusion right at that point that when she tries to do good things, that she is bad, that bad things happen, that she's a bad girl, and that she is not good. And so she goes through life attempting to override this, never really feeling good about herself from the internal because of this conditioning. And then it just continued to pile on top of it. So it showed up in her marriage. Her marriage was almost destroyed. And when it started falling apart, she was trying to fix it. But everything that she was trying to do, she believed that she was going to ruin it. So it was only making it worse. It wasn't until we went in and reprogrammed this and healed her false identity that she was able to really see the truth of it and give that little child the love that she needed to be able to release this and allow it to transcend, so that she could really just reprogram herself with the truth of who she really is. So her marriage was healed, the relationship with her children grew, and she got a new job, like amazing things. And now she truly loves herself, and her life is definitely reflecting it. So this is the story of your inner champion. We all do have an inner champion. We just don't really pay attention to her. The experiences that we have, we allow our inner critic to take over because we've been on autopilot for so long, and we are in an attempt to escape, this reality, but it's not possible because you create as you go. You're creating reality as you go. We're here under free will, meaning even the God and the universe has agreed to appease your choices. So if you say right, you go right. If you say left, you go left. If you say there are no good men, the universe will show you all the bad men and even link you up with the bad men. So just think about this for a moment. What is your dominant belief around relationships and men? And now tell me, what has been your experience? It's not the outside in, it's the inside out. Because when these faulty programs are healed and reprogrammed, you are a completely different being, attracting completely different people, having completely different experiences. And it really is so easy to do. Okay, so let's see. So wanting to ask, how often is your inner champion showing herself? Like, how often is she showing herself? And does she get beaten up by the critic? When you're going to do something new and you're like, okay, this is really amazing, I'm going to do it. And then that voice kicks in, right? And it just tears you down, and it constantly just tears you down until you have so much fear and unworthiness issues showing up within you that you just give up. And the solution to this is to reprogram that faulty system, because if you were able to talk to that voice and trail that voice to the root, you would get to the root of why it's telling you that. It really is just a protection mechanism. It's trying to keep you protected from something horrible that it thinks is going to happen to you if you proceed. So it's trying to keep you where you are. And when you can reprogram this, you don't have that anymore. That if a negative voice comes up, you're able to say it with dominant vibration, like, this is not happening. This is what I'm doing. This is the way that I'm going. And these are the results that I'm going to get. And you will automatically create that reality because you have that determination from your core. There is no weakness. There is no tearing apart. There's no, I'm not going to do this. I mean, my clients have the most amazing results. And I don't mean just some of them. 100% of them have these astronomical results. This is one of the reasons why I was like, I have to go from one-on-one to group, because if I could teach this stuff in a group, I could help these women in a group setting to just fully move forward in their lives and create the realities that they came here to create, and not get hung up on the reality that they're living. You know, that's one of the reasons why it's so hard to vibrate out of what you're now living, because we're so trained to look at our current circumstances as proof of what's wrong and what's going on, and how come we can't get ahead, that we forget that the person, the thing, the entity, the being that we are supposed to be communicating with is our higher self, that can see much broader than what our current reality is. So if you want to create astronomical success, you have to focus on what it is that you want to create. And in the middle of it, just course correct. When something comes up, catch it in the moment, talk to it, get to the root of it, reprogram it, heal it. It really is an amazing thing to do when you can come to those conclusion. I'm going to have you do a visualization of your two selves so that you can see who is the more dominant one. You can see who's running the show. But I want to talk to you about the divine effect and what I'm talking about when I'm telling you that when my clients have 100% of success rate. So on a physical level, it's very scientific. And with the power of a woman, this modality, it's subconscious conscious healing. So the divine effect is to discover, to bring to the surface and heal the root cause of the issue, not just on a subconscious, let me just, clear that block out for you. We do it together. I guide you through it and you do it with me. You're going to see a part of it. There's several different ways to do it depending on what it is that we're working with, but you're going to see one aspect of it. And on a metaphysical level, it's God healing, that little light burst of energy that I talked about earlier in the call. That is biophotonic emissions. That the light energy is within each one of our cells, and our cells talk to each other. It's also the same light energy that's in the photons that talk to our cells, that talk to the law of creation. So there definitely is a healing power in the force of the universe that science is now proving exists for those of you who need it. I do have some clients that were previously atheists before working with me. So this is probably the reason that I felt like compelled to learn this aspect. Okay, so on the physical, the scientific brain patterns, what happens is there's a principle called the Gestalt principle. And when you have an experience, it creates a chain link of memories in your brain. And it causes your brain so if you get into a new relationship and you've ever been cheated on, like I was saying in the example earlier, and he starts to do something that is familiar to what occurred in the past, even if you're not consciously remembering what occurred, you will start to freak out and sabotage that relationship, because your brain will start triggering all the thoughts that link to it to keep you protected. So 40 to 60% of the memories that you have are real, and the other 40 to 60% are irrelevant. So your brain doesn't need to remember the color of the walls or the color of the shoes that you wear if it doesn't pertain to the experience. And because of this, that means that your memories are malleable, so you can change the way that you remember. I even have clients that have PTSD that have 100% success with this method. You can heal from the root. And the difference is that traditional therapy has you relive it, which by the law of attraction, you must bring into your experience that which you are vibrating or expecting with your energy, even if it's only subtle energy. The divine effect guides you through second and even third person and reorganizes the memory to a level of a higher perspective and learning. And the pain subsides and it cannot affect you today. Those thoughts disappear. You come out of it thinking like a new person. And from here forward, you're not the same person. Your decisions will be more in alignment with your true desires and your highest self. And your being, your subconscious mind, you're healed. The pain is healed and it no longer remains. After this method, you won't even have the ability to feel the pain, even recalling the memory. It's healed. So when I am done with this and I go back to my clients and I'm like, okay, now go back to that space and time. What does it feel like? A lot of times they have a zero pain. From a 10 to a 0. They cannot even remember what it is that occurred. They remember the way that we reprogrammed it, which is with light and love and healing and releasing of this stuff. And this is one of the reasons why it's so amazing. So I'm going to go into now the visualization for you to visualize your true self. So Thank you so much for holding on this long on this webinar. I'm trying to cram everything that I possibly can into it. I realize that it's not possible. I still have so many other studies that I had, written down to explain to you, but I will do that probably in another webinar, or maybe I'll just wait until the course to teach it, because it definitely is radically transformational. It gives you a sense of understanding, and it's kind of like, the way that I equate it is that when you're a child and your mom says, don't touch that water, and you're looking at the water and you're like, well, why can't I touch it? Like, when you're told not to do something, you want to do it even more. But if she's like, look at this water, it's really hot. If you touch it, it's going to burn yourself. Then you're like, okay, I'm not going to touch the water. So that's why I'm so avid on teaching the why behind things. I'm definitely a why girl. I have to know why things work and why they flow the way they do, which is why I've been able to learn so much in my life. Okay, so the visualization. So taking a deep breath into your body and just relaxing, yes, into who you are. And just allowing yourself to feel into your body again and breathing into your diaphragm. So ask your subconscious mind to show you your critical self, to show you what she looks like. So see what you see, hear what you hear, and feel what you feel. To really just get an image of her, that sabotaging voice that keeps you from moving forward, that critical voice that criticizes your body, that tells you you're not good enough, and just see her. Just observe what she looks like. And now put her to the side. So kind of move her over and ask your subconscious mind to show you your inner champion. The woman, the girl that tells you you're good enough, that tells you you can do it, that tells you you have what it takes, that moves you through, that loves you, that tells you you're beautiful when you look at yourself in the mirror. And see what you would see, feel what you would feel, and hear what you would hear.
No taking.
So you can see the difference. You can see who's stronger. You can see who's bigger. You can see who has more power. Now, when you are in a space where you can really release the inner critic and reprogram her, your inner champion becomes stronger, and she is the one that is creating your life. She is the one that is loving you and encouraging you and helping you to move forward. So I just wanted to get to show you, the reality, the truth of who has been in charge of the creation of your life. As you move forward, think about how your life is going to be in 10 years with this entity, with this critic in charge. Think about your health. Think about your finances. Think about your relationships. Think about your friends and family and loved ones having to watch this happen while it's all happening to all of you. The statistics are 1 out of 2 women will die of a stress-related disease. And this is one of the reasons why I have such an urge to help women transform their inner critic so that they can see the love and the light and the beauty that they really are. In there is a very powerful woman, a woman so powerful she has been given the gift to create life, whether it's life in a human, or whether it's life in a plant, or whether it's life in a dream. And this inner critic keeps us from being able to really expand and become the fullest, most beautiful versions of ourselves possible. So it's time that you really realize that it's done. You have to make the decision to reprogram this part of you and do it in a beautiful way that doesn't just bring up all kinds of stuff. Because a lot of the reasons that you continue to deal with more stuff, and all of these different healing modalities is because not only of the layer effect of an onion, but it's not really going to the root to dissolve the program, whether it's from this lifetime or another lifetime. And a lot of that has to do with learning too. Like, we still are here to learn and grow and become more. And the situations that we have chosen as a soul's blueprint to get to or to experience are very deliberate. But it's time to step out of the chaos and really recognize yourself for the truth of who you really are, an amazing, beautiful, sentient being. And I really, really hope that you allow me to guide you through it. So, continuing on,
Stop glitching!